Okay, so now that we have two charts, we have our charts that are filtering each other, we can focus on getting the map to filter other views. We can use Leaflet's built-in helper functions to handle this interaction, and for today we will be using on each feature functionality built into the GeoJSON component of Leaflet. This on each feature option is a function that gets called on each feature before adding it to the GeoJSON layer. A common reason to use this can be attaching a pop-up feature or things like that, but we can add our callback function and even listener here. But before that, let's put the two vector-like visualizations we had side by side. So the second part, the first thing so this is the same crime charts, and what I'm doing here is to make an horizontal concatenation and adding these two charts together. Okay, so we have this Vancouver crime map. We have this we have this chart that works as a filtering, so we working perfectly there. Yeah, side by side, and then the next thing to do is to make another map, and in this map here we are going to add on each features. We also can add the crime points we had and the heat layer. You can also change the features in the heat layer, including gradients and like the color or the zoom that you want to have in your heat map. So some features that you can change in the heat layer in the heat map is the color of the heat map and how big you want each of these points to be shown in the map, and the level of blurring and some other attribute. Okay, so what we need to do is to write a function that adds an event listener on each layer and calls upon callback function. So if I click anywhere in my map that has a feature here, so this is an event listener function for each feature in our GeoJSON layer, and then I'm gonna bend the layer on. What we want to do is to call the callback function when clicked. So click, if the click happens, then I want to call the callback function, and then I need to write this callback function. So I need to write that callback function when clicked, and in this function I'm going to use another mutable data type as a filter. Let's call it neighborhood, and then this neighborhood is supposed to it activated on when in which neighbor am I clicking. So the filter happens when I click on each of these neighbors, then the corresponding value will be shown on the other two graphs. Therefore, in the when clicked function, when an event happens, I want to set a mutable value, let's call it nHood, and this mutable value is going to get where I clicked, and so the event, and then the target point of the event, and in my data sets, and from the target point extracting the feature, and from that feature, from that feature getting the properties, and from that properties I want to have the name of that property, and so I can use this name of the neighborhood as a filter for the rest of for my other graphs. And the next thing to do is to define that mutable neighborhood, so like setting them as null, nHood as null, and here we go. We are almost going through the same pattern. So I define my event handler, I define my event handler, I define the listener, and then I defined the mutable variable that is going to act as a filter. And the next thing to do is to find that, like, define that selection range, like t-select, that we had before. So here I'm going to define a map selection. From this map selection, in this map selection, I check if nHood is equal to null, then set it from an array, otherwise return okay. And then in the if section we need to return array dot form, again making a new set of Vancouver, I think this is small, Vancouver prime 2 dot map, again d, and d dot, what is the name of that value? Neighborhood. We'll closing the next one and that one. Okay, now that we have our selection and our filter value, we almost have everything except there are two remain steps. The first thing is that we don't have any event, because first we need to rise an event. Leaflet has a function named map.on. Map.on, and this on function adds a listener function to a particular event type of the object. So you can optionally specify if a specific event happens, for example click, on click, mouse move, on mouse move, and things like that, and it's gonna rise an event, and then you can handle that event using a listener, using what we are having here. So this area click is listening on the click event, and so first we need to rise a click event when anything happens. So I'm going to specify the event, and then we need to set a like we can set a type of listener pair here, or we can just add a function and what we want to happen when the click is happening. So when the click is happening, I want to set the mutable as null, and mutable endhood as null to begin the listening process. And so I have this value, and the next thing to do is to get back to here and add the transform. What was that? Okay, so I want to get the transform, and use a filter, and this filter is going to be applied in the field of neighborhood, or caps lock. Where was it? Neighborhood, and then this filter is going to be one of map selection. Okay, I think this is it. And now when we click on different parts of the heat map, we can see the changes in those two graphs. Okay, so the last thing to mention in this workshop is how to put them together and how to publish the filter map. Okay.